I used to come here often, after cancer took my father in 1996. I was only 18 at the time. 9 years later, in 2005, my mother lost her battle with cancer. I haven't come here since. Today, I finally feel strong enough to be here. Today, I have great news to share. The way life seems to work is the beginning often looks a lot like the end, and the end a whole lot like the beginning. Confused? Don't worry, it'll make sense in the end. The first memory I ever had of actually remembering, I can still remember that very vividly. It's kind of weird because I say that to people and people are like, well, what do you mean the first memory you had? You mean like the first memories you had, like, you know, when you were a kid and all that? I said, no, like just actually a particular point in my life was where I remember to start remembering. From that point on, I remember the things that happened, but not before. This is like the one pivotal moment in my life that I actually start remembering things. And it's kind of weird because the thing that I remember about it is that basically I'm in a dream. I'm sleeping at this point. I'm sleeping. And I remember this traffic light. And the traffic light goes from red to yellow to green. And on that green, I wake up out of my bed and I scream as loud as I can, "Mom! Dad!" And that was my first memory. My childhood was awesome. Spent most of my early years with my brother and cousin. I still live in my hometown of Dieppe, New Brunswick, which is a suburb of the great city of Moncton. I live here with my lovely wife Amy and my dog Brock, and 3 other cats as well. If Moncton is known for anything touristy, it would be the Pitacodiac River, which we affectionately call the Chocolate River. Due to the massive Fundy tides, a tidal bore wave sweeps upriver twice daily. A very nice spectacle to behold. And definitely our most interesting part of our fair city.
Kevin and I grew up together. He lived right across the street from me, and I was an only child, so we were together all the time, every day. The earliest memory that I have when it comes to sharks and Kevin is we were probably, I think I was maybe 9 and he was around 8 years old. And my mother and his mother brought us to see Jaws 3D. It was just coming out. So we both went there to see that. I was scared out of my mind, but I guess I wasn't as scared as Kevin, because when I went to look over, Kevin with his 3D glasses was crying and he was scared and everything. But he stayed for the whole movie. He toughed it out. He was so excited. That's all he talked about for probably months, if not years. I would say Kevin is obsessed with sharks. That's all he's ever talked about. That's all he's ever done. He used to have a toy shark, some sort of little squeaky with these sharp teeth that we used to play with, and I would play with my Care Bears and things, and he would obviously come with the shark and either bite them or bite me or anything like that.
Childhood in Dieppe was awesome. Spider-Man t-shirts and Transformer toys were the highlights of my day. One thing that I want to talk about straight away here, and I want to get this out there, is the hardest thing that I had to do for this entire trip was the weight loss. Seriously. I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever struggled with weight loss or have issues with weight or whatnot, but it is not an easy task. it's a lot easier to put on the weight than it is to take it off. And I'm sure most of you would agree, even those, even those people who never had a problem with their weight. But in order for me to go on this boat, to make this trip, to fit in a dive suit and all that, and meet requirements, I had to lose at least 40 pounds in order to make this happen. And this was all during a 7-month period. So needless to say, me and this thing here, me and the good old scale, didn't always get along. Sometimes I love this thing. Sometimes I despise this thing. Sometimes I wanted to hug it. Sometimes I wanted to throw it out the window. It kind of depended. It's not easy to lose weight. I'm sure, if you find yourself in the same boat I was in, it's not easy. But the best advice that I can give you is find a goal. Find this one thing or one goal that is more important to you than anything else, which is what I did. And if it can somehow, if your weight can revolve around that, like I need to lose weight in order to do this, it makes it a lot easier. Or at least it did in my case. If I look around here, this is where my house, and next to it, my grandmother's house, once stood. It's weird coming here and just seeing this as an empty lot, a vacant field. There were so many good times had here. There's so many memories made here. This is where I live. This is where I grew up. This is where most of my firsts happened. It's very surreal being here and seeing it like this. I can still remember, old moments. Remember my grandmother's house. I remember running around. Then, on one day, it was time, and they tore it down. It was odd. It stood for over 120 years, yet it was laying flat in mere minutes. My parents' house would be the next to go, in what I can only call a complete annihilation of my roots. Even through all that destruction, there's always some things, still some old little things out there that remain. Well, out of this whole property, one of the only things that's actually still here from my childhood is a trusty old crabapple tree, bearing its awesome crabapple fruit. Crabapples are just like normal apples, except they give you diarrhea. Granny Smith, eat your heart out. When my father passed away, I always thought, this is going to be the hardest time in your life. This is going to be the roughest time in your life. And I mean, don't get me wrong, it was definitely anything short of a walk in the park. But in 2005, when I saw my mother pass away as well, when I watched her pass away, I should say, it was probably even more difficult. I mean, sure, when my dad passed away, I was 18 years old and all that, it was hard. But when my mom passed away, I think it was just the fact that, my brother had just had, his kid. It had been, about a year. And my mom just wanted nothing more than to watch that child grow up. And it's one of the things that she told me when she was in the hospital. She'd look at me, and when she got, more and more devastating news, like, the cancer spread from, started as breast cancer, and then it spread to, it was in the spine, and then it went up to her head. And when it went up to her head, I remember her saying, just started bawling and crying and saying, I'm never going to see my grandchild grow up. And I think that's what made it harder for me, just, because at the time, I was fighting depression, and I still fight depression to this day. If any of you out there have ever been depressed or know someone who is depressed, it's probably the most difficult thing that a person can live with. I think, ever. And some people think, it's all in your head, it's all in your mind, you're depressed, it's just your mind, you can think your way out of it, Nothing can be further from the truth. There is no thinking out of it. You know, it is what it is. It's a very scary, very dark thing that just takes over you. And here I am on the steps of the gorgeous Norming Cormier Estates, my uncle's house. As I look over here to my right, I see the field and the crabapple tree. It's pretty much all that's left of my old home and my grandmother's home. It's kind of sad coming down here and seeing it basically just wasted like this. Got a lot of good memories there.
Earliest memory I have of Kevin is going back to 1997, 1998. We were going out one Halloween evening and we had been invited to his place to go out. So we went to his place for a couple of beverages beforehand and he was giving me a tour of his place. When we walked into the bedroom, of course, he had his entire toy collection available and everything that you could see was sharks. He had the big Jaws poster put up, everything. If it wasn't one of his other toy collections, it was all relating to sharks. Would I say Kevin is obsessed with sharks? Absolutely 100%. From morning till night, 24/7, Kevin breathes sharks. He may or may not eat sharks, and he lives sharks.
You couldn't ask for more. Wanna steal the night away. Gonna leave this life behind an open door. It's so imaginable. I kinda like the way you look. Gotta set your sights and reach out from below. Anytime you can leave, anytime you can run away. Last goodbye, live and die. Just to
Now we're
say
heading to another location that was instrumental in my affection for underwater life. The good old cottage. I haven't been here in a long time. Doesn't look like it's changed too much though from the last time I laid foot here, some years ago. Through my entire life, there's always just something about the water just always it always intrigued me. It always lured me in. It pulled me in. It always did. I mean, I used to and I still do to this day. I loved going out in the rain. I love to swim. You know what I mean? I love fish. I love ocean life. Anything that has to do with water, I just love it. I always, it's just always been the way it is. That's just what it is. And sharks are, just, I guess, the epitome of water to me. They're so intriguing because there's nothing basically more, there's just something about just the whole, I don't know if it's the movie Jaws that did this to me, watching Jaws or whatever, but there's something just, it's kind of eerie but kind of fascinating at the same time about just knowing that you're on the water and there's something that can just overpower you, but there's a mystique to it at the same time. There's something greater than you. You know what I mean? Out there, we're in the water, and you are in its element. And I guess it's just kind of that lure that lured me to it. I'm a big fan of all sharks, but naturally the great white shark is by far my favorite. And that goes way back to Jaws, that goes way back to being a kid, that goes way back to watching documentary specials on Lauren Green's New Wilderness, or Jacques Cousteau, or whatever the case may be. But definitely great white sharks are my favorite animal, and always have been and probably always will be. I remember when I was in high school, and I wanted to be with sharks, right? This was what I wanted to do. So I'm like, okay, I can be an oceanographer, fine. But the problem was that my grades weren't always that great. Actually, my grades were pretty good. The grades that weren't good for me were like science, biology, stuff like that. Not my forte. And unfortunately, those are the things that you need in order to get into the study of marine animals and oceanography. So I guess I told myself back then, and I remember when I finally went to college, and it wasn't going to be in any of those fields because I wasn't that great in them. So I went to college, and I was in business management and information technology, and I remember telling myself, you know what? I'm not going to be able to do this oceanography thing, okay? It sucks, but it is what it is. You know what I mean? It's life, you know, and by that time, you know, with my father passing away and all that, I kind of already knew, you know, life didn't always give you what you wanted. You know what I mean? Sometimes it throws you a curveball, and then you kind of got to deal with the cards, you know, deal with the hand that you're dealt. And so what I did in that case, I made myself a promise. I said, look, I may not be able to be the next Jacques Cousteau. I may not be able to be, you know, the next Lauren Green. But what I can do, and what is within my control, is that I can work hard at what I'm good at, hopefully make a half-decent career out of it, make a little bit of money, and then be able to go see the great whites at some point. So I guess what I'm trying to get at here with that story is that just because what you want to do or what you want to be or what you want to see in life doesn't really always seem within reach. Sometimes it seems it's really out of reach. Sometimes you're like, you know, I mean, that can't happen. If you work hard enough, you can find a way around it. Just in getting here, there's a flood of memories and emotions that rush through me. It feels great to be here again. The memories, they stand here. They watch over me. It's kind of like replaying an old movie in your head. You can look around and you can see it just as it was then, in front of you. Like old ghosts coming to say hello. Don't get me wrong. As I look around here, I know not all memories here are great. Not all memories here are of good times, fun times. There's also a little hint of darkness here. And as I turn, I look towards the area where the darkness lies. This is the water where the dream pretty much began. When I was a kid, I used to come here, snorkel, play in the water. Really got a big affinity for the water being here. It's a great place. Over on the bridge over there, we used to actually jump off, which is pretty cool. This is the cottage that my parents originally wanted to buy, but it wasn't for sale. So this is the cottage that we did end up getting. This is pretty much where I spent most of my childhood and also most of my teen years, partying it up with the boys. As I look inside the windows of the cottage, again, you see the ghosts. You see the memories pass. A lot of good times in there. Now it's just empty. Well, as you can see, I mean, this place has gotten pretty decrepit over the years. Not a lot of TLC going on here. We had to sell this after my mom passed away, and it's always hard coming back here. So you get all the memories and all that, and you realize, you know, this place is no longer yours. You know, definitely you can't sell or you can't buy the memories, but you know, the location's gone now. Apparently they are planning to tear this cottage down because of the land and probably build something else. So this might be one of my last opportunities to actually come out here and be here with everything, you know, decrepit, yes, rotten, yes, but still home to me. Just one last thing here to show you something that's really symbolic to me. These two hooks here, at one point, they had a nice sign hanging on there and it said, Jane and Roger's Hideaway. I told you a little earlier when I got here that not all memories here were great. Not all memories here were good. There's some I'd rather forget. But no matter what it was, good or bad, it shaped me. Pretty much made me the person that I am today. As I look on at the cottage, from this step, from this point, right here, this isn't only the bridge that I used to jump off as a kid. This is also the first place that I ever contemplated suicide. I can remember I think the first time that actually sorry. The first time that I actually contemplated suicide was one night at my cottage, well, our old cottage, I should say, and at the time my mom was still alive. It was it was probably not that long after my father died. It was a few years after that. And I was just in a really dark place, and wasn't really taking my meds at the time. And I remember going up to the cottage one night, and just alone. Just went up there alone, got dropped off by one of my friends. I didn't have a vehicle or nothing, just dropped out there basically in the woods at the cottage. And I remember, lighting a fire in a fire pit, sitting down, and, just looking at the fire and all that. And I think this was the first time that I ever really had a true legitimate panic attack. And for those of you out there who've never had a panic attack, trust me, there's no way to describe this thing other than basically you feel like you're drowning, you feel like you're out of air, and the only thing you want to do in your head, the only thing you think in your head that's going to make you go away is if you die. It's the weirdest and loneliest and most uncontrollable feeling I think that I've ever had. And I remember sitting there and looking at the fire, just there alone, and then the first one hit me, because all of a sudden I had a thought about, what if I just go up on the bridge, because there's a bridge next to the cottage, and just throw myself off. Like I could just end feeling the way I felt, because I felt down a lot during that particular time in my life. And then, with a snap of a finger, the panic attack just consumed me. It was as if I no longer had control of my thoughts. It was as if that was it. You're going to throw yourself off this and there's nothing you can do about it. And I mean, luckily there was a neighbor there in another camp that I was able to go to and actually get access to a telephone and call my mother. So she came up there to basically get me out of there. So I call it rescue me. Mothers are always good at doing that. Parents are always good at doing that, at rescuing their children. And she did that for me that night. She came to get me like any other parent would. And I don't know what would have happened if she didn't. And it kind of scares me to think that I could actually go to a place like that.
My first memory of Kevin with sharks would be when I was at his house one time and we were in the pool, and he had a bunch of great white toys in the pool and he was pretending to bite people with them, and then I asked Amy what that was all about, and she's like, he loves the sharks. So from that day forth, I knew Kevin loved sharks. Is Kevin obsessed with sharks? I would definitely say so. If you go down to his basement area, there's a million Jaws collectibles. The guy's obsessed with seeing sharks. He loves sharks. I think one time he was crying about not getting shark slippers. So if you're looking to invest in shark slippers, I think you've pretty much crossed the line of obsession. So Kevin's obsessed.
Welcome to my toy room. This is pretty much my man cave, if you will, my action figure museum, I guess. What drives a person to collect all this stuff it's a question I get a lot. And you know, I'm big into toys, big into comic books and all that stuff. I guess what happened in '96 when my father passed away, and we actually had he had some American money, and my mother said, well, you should buy something, you know, basically in memory of him and whatnot. And I was already starting to get the itch of buying old Transformers again. So I bought this guy right here. This is a Generation 1 Megatron Transformer. And I've actually had that since then. So this is actually from 1996 when I bought it off of the new website called eBay. And yeah, I've had it ever since. So how did one become thousands? Well, I guess that's my OCD kicking in. Yeah. So please allow me to let you guys take a look around at the room.
Kindly ask yourself if you're someone to be. Wanna live so hard, you gotta see to believe. So many mistakes that you can't even erase. Gotta tell someone before you let up the waste. You run around like nothing can get you in the teeth. Think it's safe to say that this black heart ain't at ease. Shame the kind of life you wanna live.
My first memory of Kevin and sharks, I can't really remember my first memory, but I remember when I was working in the microfilm department in Fredericton at the university. I came across original shark, actually the Jaws movie poster for the advertisement for the movie coming out in the 70s in one of the newspapers, so I printed it off the old reel because I knew he'd really appreciate the original memorabilia of the Jaws movies. So I guess my first memory of him would be him in the Jaws movies and the great white shark. Oh, is Kevin obsessed with sharks? I would say yes. And I just like to say that I really think of Kevin as the shark whisperer, and that's about it.
So here we are in the spring, getting the pool open. This year the pool is going to be dual purpose. Not only will it help us cool down, but also to test out some of the gadgets that I got for the trip, such as this digital underwater camera and also housing for the camera itself. So we're going to be able to test some of the footage, test some of this equipment in the element of water before I actually go out and test them on a great white. As you can see, I mean, the pool is pretty murky. You know, hopefully get the chemicals and everything in there. It's going to make it a lot clearer so that we can actually go ahead and test out all of our devices. Got a new little prop today in the mail. The Dick Pack underwater camera bag. As you can see, it says right here on the box, not camcorder included. What does that mean exactly? Not entirely sure, but I'm sure it translates to something to the effect of, this camera bag works awesomely. Let's go test. This is it. We're done talking about the past. It's time to talk about the present. Packing up for the big, big shark adventure. Is there anything worse than packing, other than unpacking? Oh, it's such a long and tedious chore. Luckily for me though, Amy is a master packer. She can pack tons of stuff into one small suitcase. It's actually, pretty much an art. She's got it down packed. So kudos to Amy for making this whole packing experience a very, very nice and enjoyable one. Thanks, Aim.
Yeah, funny story about how I actually came to know Kevin. Back when I was in college, this would have been back in like 98, 99. I was pretty obsessed with collecting Transformers, same as him. And actually was just starting to discover online purchasing of toys and collectibles and all that. I don't even think I was into eBay back then, but somehow I stumbled across a website, Hollywood Bombs, and this guy was selling a couple of Transformers, and lo and behold, actually it was Kevin. So that's how I came to meet him. We met up at Toys R Us, did the exchange. He gave me the stuff, I gave him the cash, and but before, prior to the big meet, I remember my wife, who was of course my girlfriend at the time, told me that I should probably watch out because you never know what kind of weirdos are out there on the internet. So, anyways, turns out she was right. Who knew? Weirdos who like sharks.
Alright, so here is the actual trip that we're going to be taking. We're going to start off here in good old Moncton, New Brunswick. We're going to drive about 8 hours down here to Portland, Maine. And then from Portland, Maine, we're going to take a flight down here to Chicago, to good old Chi-Town. From Chicago, we are going to take another flight down here to San Diego, California. And then from San Diego, California, we are going to bus down past Tijuana to Ensenada, Mexico. And in Ensenada, Mexico, we are going to take the boat, which is a 20-hour boat, down to Isla Guadalupe, which is right here. And this is where we will go diving with the great white sharks.
Wrote down their instructions. You guys had a good trip?
Oh, hi. So hoppas cirka.
Ben taking care of the toy collection while I'm gone.
Ooh, what's all this stuff?
For the trip.
I'm not.
You guys clean the dish.
There's no dishes. There's like 2 plates. I made sure everything went in the dishwasher. Did all my laundry's done.
For the great white notes.
Are you gonna blog, Kevin? Yeah, I think
Yes,
I already bought that.
I know.
Kevin went with James. I sent him to get some glue.
Oh, did you?
I don't even know if we have some.
Your scrapbooks were like that. Those are crazy. There were so many. They were huge.
Yeah,
It was a lot of work.
to do. I know.
It was really
I had
nice.
so many pictures I took, and I thought.
We'll schedule that in the morning.
How's your hotel room, Amy?
It's wonderful.
Do I think Kevin's obsessed with sharks? Well, obsessed is not the right word I think I would use. I think if he could, and I haven't seen his bedroom, but he probably sleeps with sharks at night. And Amy, you know, I'm not saying that you're the shark, but I think, you know, he has that passion. And you know, just take a look at his toy room and everything that he has. Sharks, other than Oilers, probably is number 2 on his list. It should be number 76. But really, Sharks is what Kevin lives for and dreams. And, you know, Jaws, his favorite movie. I don't think he was even born when that movie was made, but even though, you know, it's his number 1 movie, obsessed with sharks, absolutely. You know, the earliest time I've ever seen Kevin interested in sharks was probably when I met Kevin the first time, about 20 years ago. You know, I owned this convenience store, and Kevin, you know, this little kid would come to the store and you know, fantasize about sharks and always had sharks on his mind. You know, he even acted as a shark, you know, on the floor of my store, you know, with customers, and, you know, kind of doing that fish out of water flop. And, you know, I really love Kevin for that. That was, you know, just, you can kind of feel the love, right, that I'm displaying right now. It was so great. Thanks a lot, Kevin. Have a great day.
Would you say that Kevin is obsessed with sharks? Well, it depends. Would you say the water is wet? Of course Kevin is obsessed with sharks. Has been, well, for as long as I've known him, and longer than that, I'm sure. Me and Kevin used to be roommates about probably 10 years back, so I actually got to live the obsession. Just a couple of doors down, so I know he's got quite a few collectibles, Jaws collectibles, jigsaw puzzle that he got laminated, the Jaws poster, theatrical poster. Couple of I know McFarlane came out with some Jaws toys a few years back. He's got the maquette with the boat and all that. He's got it all, man. He's got it all. I even remember he bought I think he got it off eBay or maybe a Value Village or somewhere in town. He got a Jabberjaw doll. I didn't even know the character, but yeah, after he brought that home, I was introduced to Jabberjaw, so that's pretty cool. It's pretty cool.
So you're in the Luke Memorial. Have you been a good boy with you there? Oh yeah. Yeah, Memorial. Yep. No, that happens by the church.
only worn 4 600 times.
Well, here I am on the boat, getting ready to leave for the shark expedition. It's night. It's awesome. I'm very excited. Very, very excited. And here we have the bedroom, which me and Amy will be staying in during our trip. This is our cabin. Small, but sufficient.
Lucky us, we're way ahead of schedule, and we caught some good speed last night. The weather cooperated with us today, and so what we are is about, I'd say 2 hours ahead of schedule. What that means is we'll have a nice calm dinner down in the dining room without the plates and everything going all over the place. So it's good for us. We'll see you down at Hooks, and it's cocktail hour in about half an hour.
We're here, Amy.
We are. Do you have to film me flushing the toilet?
Ah, there you go. Hi guys. Oh, they're fighting. They're fighting for my love. Look at them.
Yes. They do that all day. They sit around and fight, and then they curl up on top of each other and go sleep. Like dogs.
It's like a game. It's like pushing each other into traffic to those great whites passing by.
I would say Kevin is pretty much obsessed with sharks. I remember once, first time we met roughly, is that came down and I had dinner with him at work. I sat down, he sat down with me, put his food, and he got up. And I thought he was just gonna go get some napkins or something. Then he started circling the table over and over again. I looked up at him, I said, "Kevin, what are you doing?" He says, "I'm getting ready to eat." I'm like, "Why are you getting ready to eat? Your food's right here." And before I knew it, he had leaped on the table, food flying everywhere, and that's the point in time that I knew that I'd have to go start eating somewhere else. The earliest memory I have of Kevin when it comes to sharks would be probably right in the first time that I met him. At that point, I went and I saw one of his YouTube videos for the shark expedition. And at that point, you could see the real love and passion in what he was looking for. Then I got to start to know him a bit more and talk to him, and whenever I talk to him, even today you talk to him about sharks, you can see it in his eyes that he just loves it. He'll talk about it, he'll basically just keep going and let you know every little thing that he's seen and done with them. It's really something that he does love. You can see it coming to his place, you can see stuff with Jaws, and always fun to joke around. He always has some great movie clips that you can joke about, or quotes. You know, he probably will love sharks from now on until the day that he dies, you know, at that point when he's being eaten by a shark.
From Miss Cousteau.
Slave Lake is very brown, so like when underwater you're just well, very good fish.
Fishies.
Those little, see, he's got cookie cutter shark.
Oh yeah.
Oh, poor guy. I could go for a cookie. Cookie. Hum num num num. Yeah, you talk the talk.
I hate it. But I have to fear.
Back in 2006, me and my wife actually went down to California, and went down to San Francisco and into Farallon Islands in order to hopefully see great white sharks. And unfortunately, during that day trip, I wasn't able to see any. I didn't get to see any. And I still remember sitting on that boat when we were driving out, coming back, and I was just looking out at the water, just hoping to get a glimpse of them, and it never happened. It didn't happen in a cage, and it didn't happen on the boat either. And I just remember how devastated I was, because this was something that I had dreamed about since my childhood. And then after my parents passing away, it became even more important to actually go out and do this. Because, I mean, my parents, both of them, they both passed away from cancer. My dad passed away in 1996. I was 18 years old, and then my mother passed away in 2005. And I remember one thing that was common between the two of them, and one thing between the two, both of them said to me, and it's something that kind of forever haunted me before I actually got to go ahead and do the stream. And they both said, they both had dreams. I mean, they weren't huge extravagant things. My father wanted to go see a hockey game in Toronto, and my mother wanted to take a cruise, a boat cruise. I remember, thinking to myself, like, not only is it sad, sad for them, at such young ages and all that stuff, losing them and all that, as hard as that was. Just thinking to myself, they never got a chance to do these things. These aren't huge elaborate things either. They're just things, that they always wanted to do, and they're not going to get a chance to do them. And like, I'm not saying the cancer is going to follow, and I'm going to get it too, you know what I mean? I might, who knows, but the point of it is, I don't want to wait till I was on my deathbed in order to do something, to want to do something about the fact that I never did anything. That's not the time to start thinking about these things, you know what I mean? When you're on your deathbed, when the end is drawing near, it's not a time. You got to do it now. That's what I told myself, like, you have to go out and do it now. Sure, some of these things that people want to do, some of these things that I want to do to go out with the great white sharks, a little expensive. You know what I mean? It costs a bit of money. You know what? You're not going to be able to take it with you when you're dead anyway. That's kind of the way I saw it. So I wanted to go out. I wanted to do this. I've always wanted to do this, and I wanted to make sure that I did it now. I wasn't going to say, I'm going to go on this trip in a year from now, in 2 years, 10 years, 13, 14, 100 years. You never know where you're going to be. And that's kind of, where I stood with this, and I really wanted to make this happen. Gotta make sure the camera's way on the end. Finally, entering the waters of Guadalupe. This is simply phenomenal. Amy and I entered the deep blue sea, and it's nothing short of beautiful. This is where I've wanted to be my whole entire life. This simply feels surreal. Being here with my wife makes it even better. I could talk now about the dangers the sharks are in, how in reality, I, the human, am the real predator in these waters, how uncanny amounts of these magnificent fish are lost each year due to the finning industry. But instead, I just want you to watch at how majestic and beautiful these creatures truly are. Hello.
You just gotta give it a second. Move through the burn.
I don't know if you can see it very well. That's the shark.
You see something?
Shadow there.
Yeah.
There's a picture of Crystal and I with you, yeah.
Camera's still on. That hot tub action. Hot tub time machine, bitches! Today I got to see my first great white shark in the wild, and all I can say is wow. It's an experience I will never forget.
What's the earliest memory I have of Kevin and sharks? Probably when visiting their apartment and seeing a Jaws poster on the wall. Although I didn't think much of it back then. I would say that I probably realized he was really into sharks when, I guess whenever, you know, the boys are watching a movie and I go see what it was and it was a documentary about sharks or some sort of thing like that. And I thought, okay, again? Okay, yeah, so they must, you know, he must like sharks. But I think I really realized he was obsessed when, while watching the documentary, he would name the different sharks and the different mammals and that sort of things, and he knew all the names and could recognize them, so I think that was probably when I realized he was pretty obsessed with them. Kevin likes sharks so much that I have a big secret, and I really think that he shouldn't know, but I've never seen Jaws. And I think that if he knew that, I'm not sure he would be friends with me anymore.
The reason I thought of them was they were somewhere this earlier this trip when I was doing, but you're never around.
Immigration is here. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Well, it was nice knowing you. Here.
Peace out.
I won't be leaving Fort.
What would be my earliest memory of Kevin and sharks? Well, I would say that probably would be when we were first dating and we were talking about what our favorite movies were, and I told him mine was Con Air, and he told me his favorite movie was Jaws of all time. And I had never seen it, so I couldn't really discuss the movie with him, and of course he was very heartbroken that I had never seen it. I'd seen parts of it, but never in full. So it was a couple of years after that, we ended up going to see it at the movie theater. They brought it out for a special night, so we watched that, and I really enjoyed it. So then we were able to talk about Jaws, and anyways, and I could kind of somewhat understand of why he liked and appreciated sharks. Except for the fact that they, you know, killing people. No, that's not why he liked them. But anyways, he just liked they were a big, beautiful animal. And another reason, another memory I have of Kevin and loving sharks is
when we were moving from his parents' house into our own house. He had this big, which he still has, a big Jaws movie poster, which was a puzzle that him and his parents had put together, and his brother. And it was all taped together. When we were moving it, it kind of came apart, and we ended up putting it back together, and there was a couple of pieces missing, and so we had to trace our steps back and find them, and we ended up finding the pieces after lots and lots of looking, but it is put together in full now and hanging up in his toy room. Would I say Kevin is obsessed with sharks? That is for sure. And I know that firsthand since we've been on 2 shark adventures. Our first, we went in San Francisco a few years ago as a cage diving and off the Farallon Islands in San Francisco, which of course we did not see any great white sharks. So we went again this year, 2010, to San Diego and then to Mexico, and did see great white sharks off Villa Guadalupe. And of course Kevin spent as many hours as he could in the cage so he could get as much video and pictures and experience of seeing sharks. And our last day there, he spent about 6 hours down in the cage, and he was very ecstatic and happy that he finally got to see a great white shark. And I saw them as well, which was very cool. And we do plan to go back, so it was an awesome experience. And Kevin is the biggest great white shark fanatic I know.
Here she is. Fresh meat.
And is it already rolling?
Yep.
Right on.
Viva el Mexico! Mexico!
So give us some wrap-up thoughts.
Wrap up. The trip was awesome. Fun, entertaining, the dream accomplished. Good times. Good times. Back to the gym.
So my earliest memory of Kevin and sharks is very difficult for me to essentially pinpoint because I've known Kevin most of my life. I am Kevin's brother, obviously. And basically, I still remember times of Kevin bathing in the bathtub as a small little kid, and he had his little plastic sharks in there and playing along with them, and always had a fixation with these little toy sharks and so forth. I can still remember a time when Kevin had a rather large volume of books, and all relating back to fish and different types of species. But mainly, he's always had a keen interest in the area of sharks, especially great white sharks. In regards to Kevin's obsession, I think the matter of taking the time and the funds to travel all the way across the United States of America, even into a completely other country, mainly into Mexico, demonstrates that he has a keen interest and very much an obsession with understanding and experiencing these creatures. Thank you.
That's where I saw lights in.
Okay, what's the earliest memory I have of Kevin with sharks? Or great whites? I don't know if I have a very specific first memory. It just seems like Kevin has always liked sharks. Maybe the first one that I can think of might be a puzzle that he made that he has up on his wall. It's a Jaws puzzle. It's very, very cool. And he made it with his father who passed away, and then he laminated it. It's a very, very cool poster. I think it's from the first movie. Why does he like sharks? I don't know. Kevin likes to gobble up and devour pretty much every piece of anything that he wants, and it's very much like a great white shark. So maybe he is a shark, or maybe he was in a past life. Not that I believe in that, but maybe that's why he likes sharks so much, because they see something and they eat it, especially the big ones. So yeah, kudos to Kevin for going down there and seeing the sharks.
If you've learned anything at all from what you just watched, I want it to be these things. Obesity can be fought. Depression can be overcome. Life doesn't wait for you. Do what you want to do now. Live out your dreams. Live out your passions. You never know if you're going to get a second chance. Do you remember when I said the beginning often looks a lot like the end, and the end a whole lot like the beginning? This is where it should start making sense. As I stand here in front of my parents' grave, I find it hard to find the words to explain to them, to tell them how I feel, to tell them of my joys, of the adventure I've been on. Then it dawns on me. It feels like the first time. Red, yellow, green. Mom, Dad.
Everybody say yeah, yeah. Want to know how you feel. Shake and bake, I could watch you all night. Lead the way, I'll catch in flight. Your cat eyes are so bright. I'm a scratching post in its prime, like a must-spine. King and queen, shove the Lincoln sauce right. Caravans getting ultralight. Crank the music, star bright. Left the mean streak at the door, like a must-spine. Sugar lips and your groovy hips serenade me like an overdrive. Left behind in a mountain of smoke, like a mustang. country girl, like the way your curls twirl. Take it back. We gotta tell it to you all the time. A sexy mama shake you, brought a chinny overtime. Got no money, wanna scam $1 million, but I got friends. We are the city streets, like a laundromat that needs a tumble dry, extra delight. Stripalicious on a mission to tequila dry. Stripalicious, shake and bake. I could watch you all night. Lead the way, I'll catch and fly. Your cat eyes are so